Chairman Lummis for holding this hearing. I look forward to working with our witnesses today. I do have to say I think it's unfair, Mr. Chairman, to accuse the EPA of not accepting the invitation to be here today. That invitation was extended right before the shutdown, and they have offered to appear in November. I look forward to having them here. But you can't turn off the power and then complain that no one answered the phone, and that's what I think is happening right here, and I think that's an unfair way to start this hearing. Global climate change, though, is one of the greatest challenges that we face, and last month the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released a report which states with 95% certainty that human activities are responsible for climate change. This report was based on a rigorous review of thousands of scientific papers published by over 800 of the world's top scientists. The report also makes it clear that if we do not take steps to halt this damage and make this change, the repercussions for humans and the environment will be catastrophic. We need to move forward and take the necessary steps to combat the warming of our planet before these impacts become inevitable. We know that humans are impacting the climate in a number of ways, through emissions from the vehicles we drive, deforestation, and changes in agricultural practices, among other things. But fossil-based fuel power plants are the biggest producers of greenhouse gases, accounting for roughly a third of our total emissions last year. I have repeatedly said, just as Chairman Lummis has, that I favor an all-of-the-above approach to energy production. As I often say, if we can make it safe, let's make it happen. But I have to make it clear that we must take steps to make sure that we are reducing greenhouse gas emissions and lessening their impact on human health, the environment, and global change. This is exactly what the proposed standards for new coal and natural burning gases aim to do, which is why I support their implementation. And like Ms. Bonamici, I want to reinforce that they will have no effect on existing plants. So we aren't going to see a wave of shuttered plants and massive layoffs as a result of their implementation. And if we can display the first slide. Slide number 1 that's going to be displayed shows all of the existing coal plants in the United States, approximately 600 of them. Slide 2 is a map of the United States, and it has on it all of the plants that are affected by these new standards. You don't need a magnifying glass to see that the number is 0. 0 plants are affected by these standards. 0 jobs today will be lost by these new standards, and I think it's important not to confuse the issue here. There are in-depth discussions underway about establishing standards for existing plants, which the EPA currently plans to propose next June, and there are ongoing extensive engagement with all of the stakeholders to make sure that these standards will be flexible and won't have negative effects on state economies and job creation. I think we also cannot discount the value of certainty. The fact that there was uncertainty in what the regulations were going to be was also affecting job creation in existing plants and plans for new plants. And now that we have standards, that lends certainty to the marketplace. Finally, there's nobody I know in Congress who intentionally wants to destroy or kill a job. I think what we want to do here is to make sure that we have healthy air for our children to breathe, a healthy future, and mitigate the effects on the economy to the best degree possible. But if you want to count job killing by the numbers, the cost of the government shutdown for 16 days, 120,000 jobs, $24 billion to our economy. There's no policy that we can create today or that the EPA has created today that will kill as many jobs as that or wreak as much havoc on our economy as that government shutdown. And I think if we want to compare the two, that is a stark contrast. Finally, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle often say that our children and grandchildren will be left holding the bag if we do not reduce our deficits and national debt, something I greatly agree with them about. But I think similarly, future generations will be the ones who will suffer if we do not take important and meaningful steps to confront climate change. But in this case, as the global scientific community has made clear again and again, the consequences of our inaction will be much, much more severe. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back the balance of my time.